The Retirement Cafe Podcast, episode 60. How to make New Year's resolutions stick.
Retired or thinking about retirement? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Retirement Cafe Podcast. In each episode, we bring you an important conversation with insight, tips and knowledge, all designed to help you live a fulfilling and successful life in retirement. Here's your host, Chartered Financial Planner and Accredited Later Life Advisor, Justin King.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Retirement Cafe Podcast, which is brought to you by Retirement Planning Specialists, MFP Wealth Management. It's New Year's Eve, the final day of 2019, so what better topic to discuss than how to make 2020 your best year yet? In fact, that's the theme of the next two episodes. As is tradition, with the arrival of the new year, you may well be getting ready to set some New Year's resolutions. Things that you'd like to change in your life or new habits you'd like to create. Now, it's not something that I've ever really done, but I know my wife Kathy used to set resolutions each and every year. So Kathy joins me today on the podcast to chat about why I don't believe New Year's resolutions are very effective and how lasting change can be brought about. Welcome, Kathy.
Hello.
So. Why do you set New Year's resolutions and I don't?
Well, I think I haven't set them recently, but I think what I've found in the past is that New Year's is just an opportunity, if you're not doing it at any other time, to think about the future and to think about what you might want to do differently. And I suppose I've got into the habit of the last few years of doing that in a different way. But New Year's was always, it was a time to set resolutions, and it was time to look back and think, what could I do differently, and what do I want to do differently, and how do I want my life to change? So that's why.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think maybe Christmas time and the New Year, most people have some time off, and it's time to reflect and to think about what's going on, what's the new year hold. You know, we've got a 4 seasons in front of us. I can see why people do set New Year's resolutions.
But you don't.
But I don't, no.
So why don't you?
Well, you know, if something's important in your life, you just need to get on and do it. The idea that I'd wait maybe up to a year before starting on something important in my life is just daft. Though, you know, that's the real key thing, is actually understanding what your priorities are. And, you know, if it is that Christmas period or, you know, New Year period where you think, you know, this year is going to be my year to do whatever is important to you, then, yeah, it's an okay time to do it. I mean, why not? It's as good a time as any time. But there again, any time is a good time. So I suppose that's what always been my frustration with New Year's resolutions. Is like, if it is as important, why on earth didn't you get on with it in, say, September or May or whatever point that you realised that this was something that you wanted to do or change in your life?
So you obviously agree with the principle of setting goals then?
Yeah.
Is goals the right word?
Goals, yeah, well, I think we've got to fundamentally I think goals to a certain extent, it's a bit like a bucket list. You want to probably just go deeper into it and actually understand what is the motivation for it. What is going to get you onwards when you're finding it maybe tough? I mean, really, New Year's resolutions or any resolution at any point in time is about change. It's about understanding that you want something different in your world. Because that's when you're resolving to do something. You're making a resolution to do something different. But understanding why you do things in a certain way in the first place, and then understanding what is driving you towards or away from the thing that you're trying to change. So we just need to get a bit deeper into it rather than... So, I don't know, let's say that you wanted to give up smoking. I know lots of people want to give up smoking at New Year, or they want to go to the gym. And so, this year I'm going to go to the gym, let's say. Well, I'd want to know a bit more about that. I'd want to know, what will it be like when you've been to the gym for, let's say, the 30 days of January? What will have happened? How will you feel? What will it deliver to you? Those are the things that are really going to make the shift
And why is that? Why is that so important? To understand what that's going to feel like and what that person is how that person is going to feel and be, having started to make that change.
Well, we can either be intrinsically motivated or we can be extrinsically motivated, and the self-worth that you may get. So let's say I wanted to get fit, and you might say, okay, so why do you want to get fit? Well, I don't know. We have 2 young girls, so let's say, well, I'd like to be fit throughout their lives. That's why. That's possibly important. It is important, of course, but is it important to me? Now, other people have different motivations, so you've got to look beyond just the external, I think, to try and really understand what it is will really deliver you, and then the chances of that goal starting to stick, I think, is much higher if we really understand what the end result is.
And I think, to build on that example of kind of going to the gym and getting fitter, I think perhaps one example of an intrinsic motivation would be, I want to go to the gym and get fitter because I want to be able to go and play football or run around or do the park run with my daughters or whatever it might be. But actually maybe an extrinsic motivation would be something like, well, I want to go and get fit because actually everyone else thinks I should be getting fit and everyone else seems to be going to the gym, so probably I should do as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So if you said to me, I mean, you're fit already, so let's say, I don't know, let's say, give me an idea of a resolution that maybe you're going to have this year.
Oh, right, okay. So what's the resolution I'm going to have? I'm going to start doing more life planning.
Okay. So tell me, what does that look like, first of all? What does that look like?
So that means dedicating time in my week to working with people to help them create a life plan for their lives.
Great. Okay. So let's just nail that down a little bit. So how many people would you like to, in an ideal world, your resolution's gone fantastically. We're in week 1 of the year. Mm-hmm. How many people will you be working with during that week?
During that week? Realistically, probably 1 a week.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you're working with 1 person a week and everything's flying. What is that like?
I feel really pleased that I've managed to kind of make that happen. So I'm really enjoying working with and helping other people. So I get a lot of satisfaction from that. And that gives me the momentum to kind of keep going as well. And so I know the more that I do, the better I'll get at it. And therefore the more people I can help. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling circle, really. So I suppose it's kind of personal satisfaction that I'm helping other people, feel pleased and proud that I'm doing a good job in helping other people, and that I'm kind of starting to probably maybe make some kind of business out of it.
So week 1's gone and you've helped somebody.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Really positive, really energised, like I want to do more.
Great.
And confident to do more.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the end of January's gone and you've helped 4 couples or individuals create a life plan.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, that's brilliant because I'm kind of on track to where I want to be. I'm starting to make this a really big part of my life. I'm getting a lot of personal satisfaction from it. I'm proud of what I'm managing to do. So yeah, a lot of energy.
Marvellous. So you say proud and energy. What's your kind of overall emotion then at that point?
Overall emotion, gosh, probably proud actually. Yeah, proud to have made that leap and made it work.
Yeah. And when you're proud, what's that like?
It's energizing. I feel good about myself. Yeah, I feel good about myself. My self-esteem goes up. I feel really positive and in a good place, and therefore I'm a better person to be around.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So now we've got some very quantifiable goal, haven't we? If it's a goal, it is a goal. It's a New Year's resolution. It's a resolution that is something important to you. But you've also lived into the future a little bit. You've also imagined you being there.
Yeah.
You've imagined helping, in your mind's eye, those 4 couples, those 4 individuals, and you've moved into the emotional feeling of that. Well, all of a sudden we've now got much more of a concrete idea, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
of what that will be like.
Yeah.
So what I think that the issue is that if we just say to ourselves, I'm going to go to the gym four times a week because I want to lose weight. Well, okay, I want to investigate that further. I want to know what that will be like if you've lost weight. Who do you become? Who is the person that you want to become? And then how will that feel? Because that's what's really going on here. Is we've got to really uncover and understand what's. It's not actually about the strategy. It's about the results the strategy gives us.
So just explain that a bit more. How do you strip out what do you mean by the strategy and what do you mean by the result?
So, I mean, if we stay with the analogy of losing weight with the gym.
Yeah.
I think we're all, I'm not a medical expert and this is not medical guidance, but I think we all understand that exercising and eating well is good for us. So, and being of the right weight, whatever the right weight is for you, is probably a healthy thing to do. So, the strategies would be, possibly, from things I've read, that eating the right food and exercising regularly is good for weight, maintaining the right weight. Though if you've got to lose weight, you might have to change your diet slightly, you might have to exercise more than you currently do. So, but those are strategies. Eating less is a strategy. Exercising more is a strategy. But those in themselves don't particularly deliver a great deal of pleasure to us. So, whereas we know that they're a strategy, we need to understand what the higher purpose of that strategy is. And then the higher purpose, let's say, of losing weight. If I want to lose weight, then I will know that I'm going to feel different. I'm going to feel more energized. I'm going to be a better dad. I'm going to be the person that I want to be. And therefore, that's where we're looking to really understand and unpeel the onion to actually find out that it's not just turning up to the gym or eating well. It's because those are the strategies. It's about how we actually, what are we actually going to end up? What is the end up result for us?
So if we go back to the term goal again, so the goal is actually something that's it's the outcome, isn't it? But it's almost the emotional outcome. It's the feelings that you're going to associate. It's the person you'll become and how you'll feel as that person. Would that be a way of describing that as well?
Yeah.
So how do people kind of take this as and apply to their own lives? If they're thinking about, someone's listening and thinking about setting New Year's resolutions like they normally do, what can they do differently to maybe be more successful with New Year's resolutions or resolutions per se?
I think that we need to do something that I call forward pacing. I think we need to imagine ourselves. And the best way to imagine yourself is actually probably like finding somewhere quiet, and maybe you can do that over the Christmas period, somewhere quiet, and close your eyes. And just imagine yourself, your future self. Who does that future self be? And I take myself forward to an age that I can't believe that I'll reach, but I kind of 85.
Okay, far out.
So that far out. Well,
okay.
I don't know. But yeah, that initially.
Okay.
So I'm 85, and I'm sitting in the proverbial rocking chair with the sun coming down, and I'm on a veranda, and it's all very pleasant, and I'm rocking away, and I'm contemplating or thinking about my life up until that moment. And I once have felt that those 35 years, give my age away, 35 years have been great, brilliant, fulfilling. So what did I need to do in those 35 years to be able to do that? Well, things like fitness, things like health, of course, even just to make sure I get to 85 are pretty important. I appreciate there's lots of stuff that you can't control, but if there are things that you can control, what did I do? Well, I looked after myself. What did that deliver to me? Well, that delivered to me a life that I was part of my family's life, part of my children's life, part of my business life. I continue to be able to learn and grow and move ahead. So any strategies that I put in place to get to that 85 are the things that allowed me to have that great fulfilled life. So yes, I do take it forward, and then in essence, then we need to come back to today's perspective and go, so if I was looking at my day today, you can even short-term frame it that, you know, what would, and sometimes I think it's actually, the idea that we sign up to go to the gym for a year is quite enormous. But actually, if we can make a commitment to go, well, I'll go to the gym tomorrow. That's all I'm going to commit to. But my 85-year-old self would want me to do that. It needs me to do that. And it needs me to stop pushing back against it. It needs me to say, if you're going to have a great life and still be here at 85, rocking on that chair on a veranda watching the sun come down, what are the steps it needs you to do on Monday, the 1st, whatever the day is, but let's say it's a Monday, Tuesday, etc., and just actually plan it out. What does my future self need me to do today?
So presumably, you know, when you're projecting yourself forward and you're looking 35 years, you could come up with like easily half a dozen things that are important for you to do between now and then. You know, there might be something health related and something business related and family and spiritual and whatever, you know, all sorts of things. So would you write those all down?
Yeah, I would.
And work on each one by one?
I would. And obviously there are some big things. I think, you know, health keeps coming out, but I think, you know, just to be able to be here at 85, that's quite important.
Yeah, kind of the foundation of everything.
It is. And then, you know, I'm continually curious about things, as you know. And it's making sure that, I've said a number of times, and many clients that I've worked with over the last year will have heard me say this, but I think we need to learn to be as intelligent about how we spend our time as we spend our money.
Yeah.
You know, we're lucky to talk to lots of clients who are very, very sensible about their money. That's why they take advice. They're sitting here and they're working out and doing cash flow modelling and all types of stuff. But lots of people don't really think about the exact amount of time they spend. And one of the questions I ask people when I'm doing group training is, if you could have an hour with a person who's no longer here, just one more hour. You know, maybe they've either left the country or they've died or what have you. They're just one more hour with someone that you had a real close connection with. How much would that? How much would you write a check for to be able to do that? And you know, everyone nods and says, you know, a lot of money. They'd write a lot of money to have an hour with their dad or their mum or their sister or their brother or whoever they lost. And what this does is just remind us of how precious time is. And we treat belongings very carefully and we treat money very carefully, but I'm not sure we treat our hours that we have as carefully. And we do know that hours are limited. We don't know when we're going to drop off this planet, and therefore we should be very considerate. And, you know, having an opportunity to spend another hour with somebody, you might then look back in the future and go, wow, I'm so pleased I did that. So I suppose what I'm trying to get at is when you're planning, in essence, what you want to achieve, or your 85-year-old self is looking back on your life, you're looking at trying to prioritize the things that are important. And often those things, generally in conversations that I have with people, it's not about stuff. It's about family experiences. It's about cuddles. It's about, you know, your kids riding on your shoulders. It's about picking them up at school. It's the laughs and the jokes that you've had and the holidays that you may have, etc. And then it becomes, you know, something maybe even bigger than yourself. How did I, you know, the old Cub Scout kind of adage, did I leave the campsite better than I found it?
Yeah.
And is there something within you go, you know what, I had a successful career, I had a successful life, and I left the campsite better than I found it. Did I do some stuff that was bigger and better than just me? Was it Was it something I did in my community? Was it something I did for my neighbour? Was it, was it that I had a huge amount of clients that were grateful for my advice and had better lives because of it? And I think we need to move away from the short-termism in business that we're involved in. Short-termism of just thinking, how can we return more profit to our shareholders? We need to put the customers absolutely first and go, how much value can we deliver to them? And then I believe the financial rewards follow that anyway, because if you deliver significant value, people will enjoy and want what you do. And for me, I suppose that my 85-year-old self looks back and goes, do you know what, that is significant and that is part of my whatever those 35 years that I want. So that needs to be in my plan for the year. If that's a resolution, then so be it. But at any point in the year, just working out what needs to be done for me to feel fulfilled at 85. Because I can't quite work out, I've never managed to answer the question, what would make me fulfilled today?
Yeah. Yeah, because I can imagine that would be something quite short term. It might be the ice cream that's just sat over there that you're trying to resist, mightn't it?
Yeah.
You might have a momentary fulfillment at eating that great big bowl of ice cream, but actually that's not the reality of fulfillment, is it?
No, I don't think so.
It's that bigger picture.
But you remember, we are bombarded.
Your final days.
We are bombarded, aren't we, all the time by commercialism, by people trying to retail products at us.
Yeah.
Whatever social media or platform that you're on, there's someone trying to sell something.
So if someone's kind of gone through that process of kind of, you said about stepping forward, did you say?
Yeah.
You called it stepping forward. Looking back from 30 years, 40 years hence or whatever, identifying what things need to be in your life for you to feel happy and satisfied at that point in time. So someone might have 3 or 4 or 5 things they think are important to them. What do they then do to actually kind of make them happen? I mean, you talked about kind of identifying what the first step is. Is there anything else that you should do to make that become a habit, I suppose? How do you make that ambition, that new way of being, a habit?
Yeah,
how do you get it to stick?
Because lots of things people fall over the first hurdle, I believe, because something's quite huge.
Yeah.
So let's think about something which would be huge for me. So I've never learned a language. Now, you speak a couple of languages, and I can't. I struggle to speak English. Right? I've learned one language, but I've never learned a second.
Yeah.
And that, to me, initial reaction would be, that's quite large. That's a big ask. But let's say that was important to me. The first thing to do is go, why? Why is that important? What will it deliver to you? Well, I better go to France, and let's say it's French. I go to France, and I can order, and I can communicate with people in France. That'd be quite cool. Yeah, but what would it be really like? Well, actually, no, it'd be really good because, I could be curious about the learning process. I'd feel proud about how it was. It would be great. I mean, I feel there's an element of me feeling embarrassed when I'm in France. It's I'm useless at it. So it would be really, really great for that to happen. But okay, so why haven't you made it happen? Well, I haven't made it happen maybe for 1 or 2 reasons. First of all, I haven't made it a priority in my life. Second of all, I haven't really sat down and gone, how would my life be different if I had this skill?
Yeah.
And move into that, So what would it be really like? Well, actually, we could go for a month in France and you can speak French and I can, it would be really quite cool. Yeah, great. So so once you really understand there is some real motivation, and you're right, not just extrinsic, but sometimes it may be that. Sometimes it's like, well, I haven't got a job here and I need it. Well, who knows whether we can go to France and work in the future, but there may be that you're just embarrassed because you're going off to France and I'm the only one who can't speak French out of the whole family. Or it may be that I really intrinsically want to do it because of what it delivered to me. I'm much keener on the intrinsic, but sometimes extrinsic motivation can be really powerful as well.
Yeah.
But coming back to, so this is a massive goal in my head. How would I deal with it? The trick is, and this is from a friend of mine, David Heiner, and I draw this out for lots of people, but in essence, you create a little diamond or a triangle shape on a piece of paper, and a bit like building a pyramid. Is that how would you build a pyramid? Well, you build it one brick at a time. You don't, you can't put the top brick on the pyramid until you've done the ones at the bottom. So you just put the first brick in place. So what would, if I was coaching myself, what would be the first thing I would do? Maybe I'd buy an online course, an app, something that I could listen to. Okay, so I've done that. Great. So, okay, dedicate the time. That's the second brick, isn't it? Find the time in your day.
Yeah.
Third brick, practice. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, I could practice with you. Okay, third brick. And I think if you sometimes need help with this, because you may not have all those answers to what the bricks are, and if you are doing it yourself, the way to do it is go, okay, so what do I need to do? Well, I need to practice. Well, and then just ask yourself the question, well, how could you do that?
Yeah.
And generally, most people I find have the solutions to those. If they ask themselves questions, how could I do it? What would I do? Or if I was advising my friend to do this, what would I advise them to do?
Yeah.
And I would build one brick at a time, and I would write it all out so that it becomes very structured, a bit like you were writing building a pyramid. Our children are really into Lego, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if you're doing a free form thing, or even one through the instructions, you just do it one brick at a time, don't you? You don't do 10 bricks at a time. And I think it's the right analogy, is you just look at it and go, okay, so to get to the robot or the tree house or whatever we're building, you just do one brick at a time.
So that's all great. So you kind of identify what you need to do, how you're going to do it, probably when you're going to do it. What about, people getting some help to keep on track? I mean, is that proven to work for people? Because it's very easy, isn't it? If you're just doing this on your own without any support, just to whatever your ambition might be, it's very easy to fall off the bandwagon. And some people find it easier than others to fall off the bandwagon, or harder to stay on it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So what about support or?
Well, I think it's very important to get support and encouragement.
Yeah.
And, most people respond to positive encouragement, and that's a nice thing. So share with the right people what you're trying to do. Sadly, you can find some members of your close family, possibly, or even your friends who won't encourage you as much as you think they would.
Or might do the complete opposite.
I heard of someone said they wanted to give up smoking, and their friend turned around and said, well, you won't be my best friend any longer.
Oh gosh, right, that's not very supportive.
Because there was a habit of going out of work for a cigarette break. And there was a kind of a little clique of the guys who did that, and they have a little chat and all the rest of it. And of course that's going to be broken. So, this is people are, if you're in something and you're not wanting to try to change, then you may not want other people to change around you either. So you've got to find people who will, first of all, motivate you. Second of all, it may be actually paying someone. If it's a gym thing, have an instructor once a week. Or if you can't afford an instructor, start getting it with a buddy.
Yeah.
One of the most successful times I ever had with a gym, going to the gym, was with a pal of mine who's sadly died many years ago. But, I remember we'd agreed to go to the gym, but the door would knock.
Yes, you had no choice.
And there he was in his gear,
Hard
going,
to say no.
Are you ready? And kind of like, even if you weren't, you were 2 minutes later, because he's on the doorstep knocking on the door, so you weren't going to let each other down when you'd made a commitment to doing it.
And I think it's fair to say different people can play different kind of roles, can't they, in kind of making sure you stay on track. Would that be fair?
Yeah, so I think there's the encourager that we just talked about. I think there's possibly expertise. Sometimes we don't know. When I started, for many people will know the story of the Ironman that we did this year. And I needed to go and get some swimming coaching very quickly. I swam,
to do more than 2 lengths.
I swam very much like one of those, really like I don't know what's the right terminology, but not like a fish. The opposite to a fish. One of those bricks.
Something that sinks.
One of those bricks they throw in the swimming pool.
And your goal was?
So my goal was to do an Ironman, and I knew I could cycle and I knew I could run. Not that I'd ever run that far, but yes, the swimming was a big hole in it. So I went and got expertise. And the expert, the swimming instructor, the children's swimming instructor, also encouraged me. Initially he didn't. Initially he said, I'm not sure you're going to be able to do this, but he stuck with me and gave me help. So you get a bit of cheering on, you get some expertise. It's good to get some kind of enforcement. We have a training plan that comes up, and it basically the thing goes green through the week if you've done all your training, and it doesn't if you haven't.
It stays red, actually.
It stays red, doesn't it?
It goes red,
And so that's a little bit of enforcement, isn't it? I mean, no one else sees that. No one else knows what you're doing, but you do know. So maybe share it. It's a bit like the sticker charts we do for the kids, isn't it? If we like this type of thing, we like to, like your list, tick them off. It provides some kind of enforcement. So enforcement, get someone to kind of make you go, or do what you do. Learn French. Turn up to the class. I don't know who it is. Turn up to the class with a friend. Just try and share it if you do social media with everybody else. Let everyone else know you're doing it. So that kind of provides a bit of social enforcement. Encouragement. Hang out with people who are radiators, not drains. Make sure that you're getting pats on the back for turning up and doing whatever you're doing. And the last bit, expertise. If you need some extra help, get some coaching. It's the fastest way to success. And if you are trying something new, you want to get there relatively quickly, or feel that you're making progress.
Okay, well, I think that's great. I think that's given us all some clear steps that we can follow if we want to make our resolutions, New Year's resolutions or resolutions otherwise throughout the year, stick this time around. Absolutely.
And we'll make sure some tools and resources are available on the show notes to help people work out what their priorities are if they're not totally clear themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this special New Year's Eve podcast, Retirement Cafe podcast. As always, if you'd like to find out more about the financial life planning work that we do at MFP Wealth Management, then check out the show notes. As I said, we'll put lots of links there on the website at theretirementcafe.co.uk. You can also get in touch with me or Kathy directly at hello@theretirementcafe.co.uk, or you can find me at Twitter, at Justin King CFP. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do leave a review on iTunes to help more people like you to discover us. It really does help. You can also subscribe via iTunes or your preferred podcast player so you never miss an episode. Next week, I will be sharing what I consider to be the must-read books for 2020 to help you make 2020 your best year yet. For now, enjoy New Year's Eve and raise a toast to the start of 2020. I hope it's a truly fulfilling year for you. So until next time, this is Justin King, helping you feel more informed in your retirement.
Thank you for listening to the Retirement Cafe podcast with Justin King. To find out more, you can find us online at theretirementcafe.co.uk.